The shadows were getting longer in the late afternoon, and they were getting worried and were about to go to do different directions when Jibril, my relative, started shouting with alarm. He was pointing high at the distant horizon. My father looked at the direction Jibril was pointing. He was frightened. High up where they were looking was one of the most ominous signs of this unknown land, a group of falcons flying in circles on the same spot. Without asking questions, they started in the direction of the falcons, moving fast in the effortless nomadic fashion. They were soon approaching the target area. There was a relatively large acacia tree right in front of their path, and through the tall grass my father, who was leaving Jibril behind, saw some movement at the trunk of the big tree. Suddenly breaking into a run, he was there next to the trunk of the big tree, and lo and behold, there was my mother, leaning against the trunk of the tree, serenely holding in her lap and wrapped up in the lower parts of her single white cotton wraparound was all of me, a tiny bubble of humanity that attracted the attention of all. My mother's side, it is a boy, answering the question in their eyes. My father, despite his happiness at finding us safe and being the father of a third son, did not hug her, nor did he offer to hold me. This was a tough environment, and men were not expected to display their emotions. My name is Billy McKinlay. I was born in Ballylawn, Manorcunningham, in 1935. My family had lived here for a considerable length of time. I come from a combination of farming and teaching background. My grandfather on my mother's side was the local principal of the primary school, and my father's family can be traced back here as tenants, first of all, in Lord Londonderry's estate from around 1800, the year 1800, yeah. First of all, I received a letter saying that I was going to be sent to Tanganyika, now Tanzania, in East Africa. But a few weeks later I received another letter asking me would I accept a post in the Somaliland Protectorate. I knew where Tanganyika was, but I knew very little about the Somaliland Protectorate. But after a period of consideration I decided I would accept it, and set off, I think it was on the 19th of September 1957. We set off from London by air. It was the early days of air travel. As I said, modern airliners were only coming on stream. There were more stopover places in those days than what there probably are at the moment. We set off from London. Our first stop was in Rome. While there, they discovered that the plane had engine trouble in one engine, so we were forced to stay for over 24 hours in Rome. While we were there, we were taken on a great tour of all the major sites in Rome, including St. Peter's. So I'll say it, probably I was the first Presbyterian from Manor to set foot in St. Peter's. Eventually we got there via Tripoli, now well in the news again, Khartoum, Aden, and from Aden across to Hargeisa, the regional capital of the Protectorate. There was one from the education department there to meet me. They took me to Hargeisa Club, where all Europeans stayed, and I was shown to my room. A few minutes later, a knock came on the door. It was the room servant. He said, "Would you like bath, Sab?" I said I would definitely like bath, being very grimy and tired after such a long journey. 5 minutes later, the knock came again. "Bath ready, Sab." And I certainly knew that I was no longer a manor. School was completed in March 1960, and we moved there at that particular stage. It was a school for 200 boarders, all male. They were chosen from the top pupils of the various intermediate schools in the country, and our remit was to educate them to be the future leaders of the country. For higher education, the best pupils then were very often awarded scholarships to go to various countries, Britain, America, some to Russia, some to Germany, and so on. The pupils, of course, were extremely keen to learn because they had everything to gain. And I think the more you taught them, the happier they actually were. So discipline in that respect was never a problem at all. I would have asked a lot about Ireland, yes. And of course, as I say, relationships between pupil and teacher were very different from this particular country here. We were very close to them. You were always on the site. I mean, 24 hours a day. We were always in very close contact with them. You played games with them, you know, and so on. And of course, there were plenty of opportunity for them to talk to you. Yes, they were definitely very interested in Ireland, the way of life here, especially, of course, about the different animals, the different forms of farming. Because the Somalis, are, you know very well, were nomadic. They moved about from region to region according to the season, just where the grass happened to be. And they moved with the herds of camels and sheep and goats from one place to another. They were very interested in the type of farming here in Ireland. They were in many ways, the Somalis were very similar to the Irish people, because the British used to call them the Irish of Africa, impossible to govern.